All right, welcome back to Domed In. Here we are, another week, Colgate in the books. Waking up on Saturday, being able to just watch the board, watch a great Saturday, knowing I was a winner already. Wow, what a feeling.
It was nice to wake up stress free yesterday, especially with the board yesterday. What a college football Saturday yesterday
I
there.
mean, that Georgia-Tennessee game was epic.
Georgia, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Texas A&M was incredible down to the wire. Talking about a team that maybe wishes they might have kept Angeli to be the holder. Who knows? But great Saturday and a nice to not have 3 hours stressed out by the Orange. That's for sure.
For sure.
You're watching Domed in Cuse, the quick hit podcast for real Orange fans. If you love Cuse sports, hit like and subscribe. Let's go Orange!
All right. So first of all, again, another week on the Domed In community where we have seen a lot of interaction from the fans. We love it. We love hearing from you guys. You know, we're fans just like you, so we love to hear anything you have to say about Syracuse football. So keep shooting it our way, whether it's on X, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's on YouTube. Like, subscribe, follow across all our channels for more content. We're going to keep trying to pick it up, and if there's anything you want to see from us that we're not doing, let us know.
Totally.
All right, so let's jump into the game review again for a recap of how the game review is going to go. We're going to have our game flow summary. Then we're going to get into our key plays. Then we're going to do our 3 stars and then a little Fran Brown roundup. So that's kind of the structure of how we're going to go through things. We'll get a little banter here and there about what we feel about the game, but mostly we'll stick to that structure. It's probably going to be a little bit of a quicker one, being that it was Colgate this week. So let's go ahead and start. Game flow. Syracuse starts by forcing a punt right away early in the game. Good job by the defense. We score a touchdown. We get an interception. We give up a fumble, which Nixon, that's a terrible fumble. But whatever. They get a field goal. That's their only points for the first half. We then proceed to do touchdown, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, touchdown, and then a big interception by Demetrius Samuel to end the half. And that is where the half ended. Um, if we were to stop there and grade the Syracuse performance, Tab, I feel like we both were giving it an A+ in that moment.
I agree. We came out and did what we needed to do against Colgate in that first half. The offense was humming. Angeli taking shots down the field. Daryl Gill gashing for big gains. Honestly, the whole offense was like
Big Byron
Ross Stewart.
Washington just mauling guys out there.
Totally. Like we were humming offensively in that first half, and even the defense looked good.
Two
I mean,
interceptions in the
yeah,
2 interceptions, 2 sacks in the first half. They held Colgate to 3 points, which really came off of the Nixon fumble more than
yeah,
anything. So overall, I do think that the defense in the first half and the offense, like A+ across the board. Literally, the
yeah.
only thing you could point to that wasn't great was the Nixon fumble. But from Angeli to the offensive line to the receivers to the defensive line to the linebackers, to the secondary, everybody I thought was fantastic in that first half. And I think then they came out in the second half, and I don't know if the starters thought the game was put away already. To me, that was the moment up 38-3 to put in your backups, because then you could have really been like, all right, starters, A+. I don't care what happens the rest of the night. It's Colgate. We were going to win anyway. You've done exactly what we need you to do. If we look like this, we have a shot against Clemson next week. And instead, we came back with the starters. And the second half was not as good. We come out right away. We decide we're going to pass the ball a bunch, and we punt the ball to start the third quarter. We then score a touchdown, so then we're up, but then we give up a touchdown. We then bring in Ricky for a drive. He throws an interception. Then we give up another touchdown. Then we come back with Steve. We get a touchdown. That's Steve's night. Steve was great. 6 touchdowns, 400 yards or whatever. He was fantastic. Exactly what he should have done against Colgate. And then Colgate goes touchdown. We go touchdown. And then we get a stop. They fumble on the punt, and thank God they did, because that leads us to our boy Luke Carney getting a touchdown, and getting us the cover. Thank you, Luke.
A little option
Um,
keeper.
they come down and they miss a field goal, and that is how the game ends. Thoughts?
Yeah, like you said, I think the first half, really good. We came out, did what we wanted to do. Second half, we put the starters back out there. They look like they did not want to be out there. And
And I
we
don't
kind of
blame them.
looked.
I don't think they should have been.
I agree with you. I don't think they should have been either. And the beginning of the second half, really the third quarter, sort of looked like that. Like we didn't look like we really wanted to be out there. We kind of played a little yo-yoing with the quarterback situation, which I didn't love. And just overall, the defense kind of just stopped playing with intensity on that side of the ball and gave up like we talked about. Colgate ended up with over 400 yards in that game, which based on the first half seemed impossible, right? Like
300 passing, 100 rushing.
Totally. Like, so there's things that I think Fran can still ride this team about heading into this week against Clemson, and I'm hopeful he takes the opportunity to do that. But the second half was not terrific. We kind of definitely took the foot off the gas. It was nice to see certain guys get some PT. Like I was glad to see Ricky get some time in the game. Obviously, I think the fan base was starving to just lay eyes on him on the football field. But I think overall, it was a game against an opponent that we knew we could handle, and we did that for at least the first half. Second half, again, was not terrific. But overall, we avoided, hopefully, major injuries, although Weatherspoon may have gotten nicked up in that early second half, which would be very frustrating if that's the case. And hopefully we can just use this as experience to get some of the guys kind of lower on the depth chart, but are showing some good promise, like Samuel on the offensive side. You've got Darian Williams, who popped. You've got a bunch of guys who did get good opportunities, Tommy Tremble. So Jamie Tremble, God, I always screw that up. It's his brother. Overall encouraging, I think, for certain guys, but just you wish we could play a full 40 minutes, I think is the big takeaway from us.
I agree. Again, I don't want to harp on it because it was Colgate week and, it's second half and the backups were in.
Exactly.
But A+ in the second half. I mean, the first half. F in the second half for me personally. I thought the second half was an absolute disaster, to be honest with you. And, I mean, you didn't need anything more from Angeli in the second half. I know he ended up with like 6 touchdowns to tie Jim Brown's record and Eric Dungy's record of like most touchdowns responsible for in the game. And that's cool.
Right.
But you're stat padding against Colgate. Do it in a game that matters for me. And also, Weatherspoon getting injured could be huge. It could be just a huge thing. And, it didn't happen. But Deuce was out there pretty much the whole game.
Yeah.
Again, like we can't replace Deuce. What Deuce brings for this team in terms of leadership, in terms of, just overall intensity, making every tackle. I mean, we're going to look at it in the film room, but there's, a 4th and 1, and we've been asking all off season, who's the guy who steps up in the place of Marlowe when we really need it and we really need someone to make a tackle. And this season it's been Deuce. Why would it not have been the guy inheriting his number 2, Deuce, who's been just excellent for us since he's been at Syracuse. I know he went to LSU and didn't have a great time at LSU, but he's been great at Syracuse. And so, I don't know. I just think that decision, having him out there, was tough because you can't lose that guy, and you didn't need him to beat Colgate.
No, I mean, we've talked about it at length. He is indispensable on our defense. Like, we cannot lose him, particularly for a long period of time, and we will be in serious danger on the back end there. Like, we were mutually holding our breath pretty much every defensive play yesterday in that second half. Like, honestly, just hoping they didn't throw the ball near him. Like, just because I didn't want him involved in it.
And he was playing in the second half. He was playing with like 50% effort. I was like, good.
Totally.
Like, just don't get injured.
Totally. So I'm glad we avoided anything with him and our significant guys on defense, because we were already trying to get through that game without Grant, without Yassine Willis. Like, we really needed to just avoid major injury in that game. I know we've talked about like having PTSD from Aronde a couple of years ago going down. I think it was Western Michigan in a game we were up by like 30
or Ohio
points
or some shit like that. Yeah.
Against, like, we do not need that to happen again. Like, the program is changing. We have more depth than we used to have, but not everywhere. And
but that, but more depth. Yeah, that means if guys get injured, guys could step up. But that also means more depth in a game like this. You should be able to just rely on your depth to help get you through.
I agree wholeheartedly on that.
Key
So,
plays, JRS touchdown. So it's always good in these
yeah,
games to start with a lead. This was like his only play of the game. He caught the ball, little hook route, got the defensive back kind of on him, just quick stiff arm, get off me into the end zone. That's all I wanted to see from JRS. Honestly, that would have been a guy I would have been fine not playing at all in this game, especially how deep we are in wide receiver. Uh, then Hornsby had a couple of drops, but I thought overall he was really good in this game. Um, he had a TD at the end of the half. That was a big play because that kind of cemented this 38-3 first half where we just totally dominated, did whatever we want. And that was Angeli just tossing the ball around to a ton of different guys, right? So it was good to see that. I thought that was another key play. Hornsby then had the catch to put us on the 1 yard line in the fourth quarter when the drive that Steve came back into the game for. And
yeah,
that was, I think, key because if you brought Steve back into the game, you had to score a touchdown. If you brought Steve back into the game and for some reason didn't score a touchdown, that would have been the ultimate disaster, which is why bringing him back in the game is such a confusing decision to me because he had played so perfectly well. And that's why I thought just after the first half, get him out because he couldn't have done anything better in the first half. Like he was perfect. And so he then had a bad drive where like he just threw a couple of incompletions, trying to throw deep balls because I think he's getting a little cocky. That's okay, it happens. But I wouldn't have liked to see him come out. Then he comes back out, he scores another touchdown. Okay, that was it. Okay, we've done more than what we could ever have imagined. He played an unbelievable game. I loved everything I saw from Angeli. Ricky goes out and throws an interception, and then you bring Angeli back in. So you've kind of crushed Ricky here. But in crushing Ricky, you've now made it Angeli has to score a touchdown. So that big pass to Hornsby is actually really key. I know it's not key for the game, but that was key for his confidence to show, hey, I am the leader of this team. If I'm going to come back in, we're going to score, that kind of stuff. It was a high risk maneuver, but it did pay off for Fran. So at least that worked out.
I agree. And I do think with Hornsby, there's stuff that we should be encouraged with. I mean, he's a big, strong receiver on the outside, another guy with good speed, too. Like, we're going to talk about it, I think, at length over the next couple of weeks. We are loaded at wide receiver. I mean, like, it is 10 deep at that position with guys who can contribute at the P4 level, I think, honestly, now. Like, we are really, really loaded there. And it was good to see guys like Hornsby, and we'll talk about Williams here in a second, but we had some other guys deeper down the depth chart really contribute today, which is good to see.
I mean, Hornsby and Russell, we've talked about them quite a bit already coming into this game, but like you said, we had Darian Williams, we had Gabe Daniels, who I thought was good. You
Yeah,
know,
nice
Dante Bayaki is good. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm sorry about that. And then you've got, Demetrius Samuel caught a pass. So you've got a lot of guys here, even guys that we haven't quite used yet. And those kids, they look good. They look like they're popping. So that's good to see. Final key play for us is going to be Luke Carney. Luke Carney running it in, getting the cover. We love to cover. Good teams win, great teams cover. That's how football works. So big time end of the game cover. Also, just good to see these kids. One of the things about bringing out Steve at the end of the second half is, yes, I would have liked to see a lot of Ricky. I also would have liked to see Luke Carney a little bit more. I would have liked to see Rich Bellin. I would have liked to see us give a bunch of guys a chance. And I know Fran, he wants to make sure that Angeli's in a good place. So I understand that, but I would have liked to maybe in a game that's a route, just treated it like it was a route, treated it like we were supposed to win, because I feel like that may have given us more confidence in that second half. And also let the hungry dogs play, right? Like you had the guys who did so successful. We both thought that the starters came out in the second half playing at like 50, 60% effort, didn't really look like they wanted to be there. And I get that. And so I would have liked to see our backups get more of a chance there. But overall, hard to pick out key plays, obviously, from a game where you win 66-24. So
totally. I mean, look, it's a key play for me. It was our first cover of the year. That's nice. That's a nice feather in the cap there, right? To get in the winning column against the spread. That's certainly not nothing. No, but happy for Luke, right? Nice little RPO option keeper, it looked like there. Just taking it into the end zone. He looked quick, right?
Look quick. He looked quick.
So,
Yeah, he looked good.
like you said, I was encouraged just to be able to see some other guys get in the game. Obviously, like Luke had to come in there because I think Ricky got popped on like the
He got
third
his
down
helmet
play,
knocked off.
lost his helmet. So, good to see. Obviously, Luke get in for a play, convert that for a TD. But like you said, it's tough to kind of highlight real key moments in this game because we did dominate throughout. Particularly the receivers on the outside. I know we haven't even fully gotten into that yet, but talk about it, just a dominant performance from that group on the outside.
And let's just stop here and talk about Ricky for a second because I do think it's a big talking point. I was encouraged by what I saw. The first drive he came in, he was kind of out of rhythm. He was trying to throw deep balls, playing hero ball. He threw a few bad passes on that first drive. And then on that second drive, it seems like they kind of calmed him down. They gave him a little bit simpler of a playbook, but they also gave him some more opportunities to use his legs. I thought him using his legs, he looked really good using his legs. But again, overall, it goes to show that I think they made the right decision going with Angeli. And we'll continue to touch on it. It will continue to be a topic as we go through. But I didn't think, especially when I rewatched it, the first time I thought it was bad by Ricky, to be honest with you. I thought it was really bad. The second time on the rewatch, I actually didn't think it was so bad. They threw him out in the middle of Colgate's kind of comeback. Like that's when Colgate scored a touchdown, and then we went right away to Ricky, and then we had him throw 3 deep balls, none of which were good. None of his passes looked good on that first drive. Then they scored another touchdown, and we came back with Angeli, and I really thought personally that was not a great situation to just throw Ricky right into. That's why I felt like if you did it clean at the second half, he would have had more of a moment to get his breath before he goes out there and calm down. And then when he did get that second opportunity, he leads a 90-yard touchdown drive. Yeah, there was a screen in there. Yeah, there was a short pass. There was his running. There was a touchdown pass that looked nice to Gabe Daniels. Like, these are the kind of things that we would have wanted to see. And if he had that drive first, we may have been thinking very differently about Ricky.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I don't take too much from the first few plays. I don't think we did him any favors, like throwing him in the middle of the third quarter, like you said, like as Colgate had a little bit of momentum there for the first time in the game. We kind of let him air it out. I don't think that was the right decision there. I agree. That second drive was like much more in line with what his skill set is, right? It was a couple quick screens to Williams, right? Get us going down the sideline for a big gain. Then we get Ricky's legs involved. He looked good on that like design draw where he came through the middle and kind of got outside around the right side. And it was a nice little back shoulder touchdown throw. There to Daniels right in the end zone. Yep. Like that was a nice little drive from Ricky. And I think like even the second one was a nice little drive too that Carney capped
that
off.
Carney finished off. Yep.
Like I think like fine. I think fine from Ricky overall. Like, and
obviously it was Colgate. Obviously it was already a blowout. We know all that, but we can only judge what we've seen. And that's why I just wanted to say, like, because I also thought on that first watch, like, that didn't look great. But on the second watch, I actually was like, this isn't that bad. There's something there that you could work with if you were stuck with Ricky. Like if Angeli got injured, God forbid, and you had to go to Ricky, I actually agree with Fran's assessment. There's something there that could be done with him. And I also think if you have him in there in the backfield with Yazin, that kind of throws a different element, right? And that's one of the things that, preseason I had kind of talked about. I like a running quarterback, and I always do like a running quarterback. And in college, you even saw it with Carney, pulling the RPO. When you've got a team worried about you handing that ball off, and that quarterback just pulls it, it's dangerous, man.
Totally. I think it would, like, we saw it even quickly just with what we saw from it would be a different look from Syracuse with Ricky in the game. Like it's going to be more run forward, more quarterback run centric. I agree. The dynamic with a good running back in the backfield there with Ricky would be a lot different. But also to your point you made earlier, I understand the decision that was made to go with Angeli.
No, they made the right decision to go with Angeli. We're not questioning that. No.
Totally. Like with the roster that we have, and particularly as we're seeing through the first few games, the strength of our team, particularly on the offensive side of the ball,
is the receivers
out of the equation a little bit. Like he obviously is a dynamic player. Our most talented group is the wide receivers and Valari at tight end. Like we have a very talented group of pass catchers, and it's really deep, and we need frankly, our quarterback needs to be a guy who can spray the ball around right now. And I think Angeli's just better suited to do that. And that's why he won the job. But to your point, like, I don't think this was particularly jarring. Like, it's about what I expected once he got flowing into the game. Like, I'm glad he got a couple possessions. I'm glad he got to find his footing. I would have much rather he not gotten yanked back and forth there in that game, to be honest. But overall, I think no harm, no foul, hopefully. And we got him some good experience, and hopefully he can build on that if we need him down the line.
One. All right, so here's our 3 stars for the game. Hockey style. I love to do this. Number 3, Jaron Williams.
I love it.
Welcome to Syracuse. Well,
Totally.
welcome home.
Hometown. It was a fun homecoming for him. Friday
Welcome
night.
home.
He was a big recruit. Like, he was a nice pickup locally. Like, they highlighted on the broadcast, like, he had very real offers from Penn State and other major programs. He was a big guy to keep home.
But he's home.
He looks like a playmaker, dude.
Oh, I love him. I love him. I mean, we've talked about it. He's part of this just receiver group that is loaded.
And he looks fast, and he looks like a playmaker, and I'm excited to see what happens with him. I know Fran was excited to get him the rock here at home. He knew he was going to have family at the game, and that stuff's important. Like, it's important that these kids, the local kids, show out when they have opportunities. Like,
but you can really also tell he's a well-liked kid, because we posted this on X as well. The video of Gil, who has become just an excellent leader as well. But Gil being so excited for Williams, and then all the guys coming off the sideline, Fran's right there. Everybody's super excited for this kid. And that kind of tells you what kind of kid he is too, right? So, again, Fran, he's recruiting local. He's recruiting great players, but he's recruiting great kids as well. And he's just doing a great job. Just an example of what is to come under Fran. These kind of kids that stay home, that play for the Orange, and that absolutely love it. That energy is infectious, man.
100%.
Speaking of signs to come, number 2, Demetrius Samuel. He's our number 2 star. Let me just read you kind of some of the stats that he had, right? So he had 5 tackles, 3 pass deflections, an interception, 1 catch for 10 yards, and a punt return for 4 yards. So that is impacting every phase of the game. He was all over the field. He impacted every phase of the game. He impacted special teams. He impacted defense. He impacted offense. He had his first interception. He had his first catch. He was excellent. And if this is the kind of thing that we're going to start to see from him in the future, especially in like ACC competition, I mean, the sky is the limit for this kid. This kid has no ceiling. There's no ceiling on this kid because it is as high as he wants it to be.
Totally. I mean, talk about a game where his athleticism just absolutely popped too on this field, like playing against Colgate. I mean, it's like this kid does not belong with this team on the field, right? Like, there was even like, honestly, the most impressive play, I think, to me was that pass breakup. It was pretty deep into the second half. It was like in the third quarter where he was like literally 4 feet off the ground deflecting a pass. And it's like,
where he got it over the Reed Swanson kid.
Totally, exactly. And he was, I swear, he was 40 inches off the ground.
Well, because that kid's like 6'6" or whatever, and he got up and got over him.
Totally. And I think right after that, the announcing crew goes into like the story about Deuce talking to him and saying, like, look, kid, like, you can do things out there that I just cannot do. Like, you are physically just different than everybody else on this team. And like, there was moments, I think this is the first time that we really start to see that like pop, and it was everywhere. Like you said,
everywhere.
Like, the punt return, it's like he just comes sprinting up, catches this ball that probably like most guys let go, just let fall on the ground. He catches it on the run, like 12-yard gain. Like, this kid is a phenomenal athlete. He is seriously a special talent, and I'm excited to see how he develops, because I think we really started to see like what the full picture of Demetrius Samuel is at Syracuse on Friday.
And it's a beautiful picture. Number 1, this is an easy one. It's an obvious one. This is our guy. We've been pumping his tires since the offseason when he was our number 1 star on our ultimate team, Daryl Gill Jr. We love this kid. I mean, he's been unbelievable since he's been at Syracuse. Last year, he was great. As a freshman, he contributed a little bit. Like, it's really good to see him get a big game like this where he's getting the notoriety because he works hard. You could see it when in the training camp we talked about this. He looked so much improved even from what he looked like last year. And he looked good last year, but he looked so much improved. And then, we joke around about it all the time off the screen because if you play with him in NCAA, he's the classic just fuck it, he's down there somewhere guy. And so if you just throw it down deep to him in NCAA, he just goes up and gets the ball somehow every time. But you know what? That's super realistic because look at this game. He just went up and got the ball every time.
He goes up and gets the guy is incredible in contested catches, dude. It's a few years of this now. It goes back to training camp last year when he was doing it with McCord. And like I know we've mentioned on the pod, it's like who was 82 in practice coming down with everything downfield? It's like we got to get him on the field, and it's happening again this year. Like that catch in the first half where he just skywalked on that guy and just literally the textbook Moss, just over his head, reaches over and comes down with it. Like the guy really is like a dynamic playmaker down the field. He's turned into like a legit downfield threat for Syracuse. He's a guy who's got to stay involved for us. I think we've like been talking about it. I think he's low-key is kind of a major key to the offense because he's what keeps the defense honest over the top. And you can see like he gets on top of teams quickly when he gets downfield. Like he's a problem no matter who we're going to play against with his speed and ability to make contested catches. And he is going to keep those safeties back for us, which
the other thing is we should have known last year when he had like 500 plus yards receiving with all the other talent we had three legitimate NFL pass catchers in Gadsden, in Pena, in Meeks. Like those are three legitimate NFL pass catchers that were ahead of him, plus a running back who catched like a wide receiver and had a ton of receiving yards for us, who's also an NFL player. Thinking back to that, last year we were a little bit like, oh, Villari's not really getting in the offense at all. Oh, he's not really this. This year Villari looks great. So it was just the guys in front of them last year. And Gill still had 500 plus receiving yards on a team that was just absolutely loaded. And now the team is still absolutely loaded, but he's kind of becoming the guy. So, we've talked about JRS. We've talked about Cook earlier in the season. In the first two games, those guys had really good games and they popped. And Gill's been, Gill was great against UConn, but it's kind of what we expect. He just murders UConn every time we play them. But now you're kind of seeing it when, if it has to be Gill, if Angeli's going to throw that ball deep, we have that deep option. So now we have like that middle big outside receiver, JRS, who can kind of use some short routes. He can run you middle over the field. You've got Cook who can run all across side to side, get those short routes, get those long routes, get over the middle of the field. And now you've got your vertical deep threat, right? And then on top of that, you have a tough tight end who can make tough big catches that you need. So from the pass catching standpoint, we're absolutely loaded, and it's just great to see Gill get his shine here.
100%. I think you hit the nail on the head with that, where it's just like we've got everything that an offense can possibly want from a pass catcher standpoint. Like we've got all the roles filled, and honestly, we're probably too deep at almost every one of those roles, which is incredibly encouraging. So yeah, Gill really popped. The first half, like there was not a guy in that Colgate secondary who had a prayer in covering
on him. No.
He was just running by guys, whoever they threw at him. I can't believe they were continuing to play single coverage at times because, like, he was just abusing whoever they were throwing in front of him there.
Let's jump into the Fran Brown roundup. So Fran had some things to say, some interesting things. Let me start with he obviously loved what Angeli did.
Yeah, how can you not? He did what he was supposed to do.
6 touchdowns, tied Jim Brown, so Fran was happy about that. Fran said Jamie Tremble could be a first-round pick on defense as a linebacker. That was interesting. I've thought Tremble looked really not great against Tennessee as a linebacker, and I thought he looked excellent against Colgate as a linebacker. So maybe it is just like he needs more reps because that speed kind of flashed. And I was saying this to you during the game, like, one thing about having Tremble out there is he's a different look than most defensive linemen. So it's kind of like you're throwing a change up, all of a sudden you're throwing a fastball because those big, tough defensive linemen that are coming and rushing and rushing the edge, all of a sudden you're putting out a skinny, fast guy out there who just turns the head of the defender. So it is a little bit of a different look for Syracuse, and I'm intrigued by it. I think I give Fran a lot of credit for trying it, and I give Fran a lot of credit for like keeping Jamie focused because we're going to need him, as we go here in the future, whether it's on defense or offense.
Agreed. And I'm glad Jamie got some production out of it. Like getting a sack on Friday is pretty awesome for him. And I think to your point, we don't really have that speed rusher on the roster. It's a hole on the roster right now. Like we just don't have that guy. Like we were hoping King Joseph Edwards was maybe going to fill some of that role this year. And obviously he's not with the program anymore, but we don't have that like textbook lean speed rusher off the edge who we can bring in passing downs and try and wreak havoc on the quarterback. Like we just don't really have that outside of obviously not Tremble on the roster. So excited to see how he develops there. And it seems like he is going to continue to see the bulk of his playing time on that side of the ball.
The one thing I would like to see is I would maybe like to see if we can use him sometimes when we play more athletic quarterbacks to see if we can spy him a little bit. Because we've done that with like David Reese, and I'd rather get away from doing it with David Reese. And a guy like Tremble can really move, and if he can just get, force the quarterback to go certain ways and, make plays, I think the more creative you can get like that, the better it is for your defense.
Totally. I think we'll probably get there at a certain point. I'd imagine they're probably not trying to put a ton on his plate right now, at least on the defensive side of the ball. They're probably right now like use your speed, get to the quarterback, which I think makes sense for a guy who's learning the position. But I agree, like putting Reese as the spy in this look that we seem to go to all the time dating back to last year, like that is not sustainable, particularly against ACC competition. So
I just hate it.
I agree. I think I do too. And just overall, like I know we've touched on it a few times, but we've got to pressure the quarterback more on defense, like only coming up with one sack against Colgate. And that's from a converted tight end who's played a few games at, edge rusher.
Two games
at
linebacker at the college level.
Like,
yeah.
We should be getting pressure against Colgate. That's a team we should be dominating like in the trenches, and to see that we're still not hitting the quarterback a ton, like that's a concern for us moving forward.
The one thing I will say is Fatim Diggs, Dion Wilson, Isaiah, Cornell Perry. A lot of those guys had like pass deflections, kind of rushing the passer a little bit. So there was a little bit of that. Colgate trying to get the ball out and us getting to it. So I did think Tank was really good in this game. Tank made a lot of good tackles in this game, like right around the line. He was, taking people up, just like taking up space in the middle. I thought he was really good in this game. So I do want to give the defensive line like a little bit of credit, but I get where you're coming from. It's more like they were really solid, but let's find out who's got that game-changing play for us. And we haven't really figured out who's that guy in the defensive line who can make a game-changing play. Who's going to get a sack when we really need one? Who's going to get a fumble when we really need one? We haven't found that guy yet.
Totally. Like, I think the secondary was pretty stout yesterday, but like Colgate had time to throw the ball. Like that quarterback was not particularly terrific, but he had time back there a lot of times, and eventually they found some guys. And so I agree.
I think a lot of that is just we don't bring a lot of exotic pressures.
I agree. But I think it's something that I know we're keeping pretty close tabs on there, and it's just like we're not confusing a lot of teams back there, and we're certainly not getting hits on the quarterback.
We're not getting any scheme hits from the quarterback. So, last thing is, Fran was positive with Ricky. He was positive with Darian Williams. He was positive with a lot of the young guys, and he keeps being like, hey, this, he's positive with Byron Washington. He thought that a lot of guys played really well. That's a guy I actually want to talk about before we get off here, Byron Washington. I thought he was awesome. We need him to play. And Fran even said that as much in the press conference. He was like, if we want to be good, we need Byron Washington to play because he is big and he is a difference maker on the offensive line. I thought he was absolutely excellent in that game. And he was way less raw and I thought he was going to have a lot more less fluidity to him when he was moving. Like, I didn't think he was going to look that good yet. And he looked great in that game. I know it was just Colgate, but like we have to filter him in starting next week against Clemson on certain packages, especially if you feel like you want to come out and run the ball a little bit with Willis, just run it right behind that guy.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he is a monster out there. Like, I mean, on a field, like obviously a field of guys who look big, he looks huge out there, especially as a guard. I mean, we're talking like a Mekhi Becton sort of player type here. If you can get the fluidity right, I mean, we're talking like 6'6", 6'7". He's much closer to 400 pounds than 300 pounds right now. That'll continue to get down, but I think the big takeaway is it does not take much contact from that guy for the defense to feel him, right? Like
he's got to be in on all the short yardage
he's getting
downs
like
now
one
on the goal
forearm
line.
into guys, and they're blowing backwards, right? And like as his speed and fluidity and conditioning continues to get better,
and strength. He's a young kid still, so strength's going to get better.
Should get better. I was impressed yesterday as well. Like honestly, him getting upfield on some of those running plays was impressive. Like he was getting off the line.
When you guys check out the film room, we've got it. We've got all those plays, screens, all that kind of stuff. He was getting up the field.
Totally. Like if Big Byron can turn into a big player for us, man, like even to just get him started this year and to start to build that confidence and get those reps in, that's a guy who's going to be a big piece of our offensive line in years to come.